Hi everyone, this is Ashit Kumar and with me is Joseph. We are from Soda Foundation team and good afternoon, good morning and good evening everyone.
Yes.
And yeah, so we'll talk about the resilient workflow automation in a hybrid cloud environment and we'll see what is the purpose, why we chose we call it as a resilient workflow, and how it can be a framework which can be customized for different needs. We'll try to cover that part. Yeah. So very quickly, the agenda that we'll cover today is what is workflow and orchestration, then resilient workflow definition, and we'll just define like what exactly is the resilient workflow definition. Then we'll just give a quick overview of resilient workflow automation that we call as a RWA, and what is the need of this resilient workflow automation, how it can be solved. Again, this is just a proposal which we'll try to propose, and we'll need feedback and what we have been doing in Soda that we'll talk about. So what solution the Soda orchestration provides as of now, and very quickly we'll cover about the high level design. Then we'll go through the demo of what the prototype we have created and how it works as of now. Then why it is open source and what is the advantage. And as it is said, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. That is something I loved from the Walt Disney quote. So we'll see like how it works. Okay. The chat windows are there, so you can post any questions whenever you want. We'll try to cover that. So just to start with very basic thing, the definitions, as we say, workflows and what is orchestration that we need to know. So on the right hand side, you see a very short and quick photographs of some of the tasks that we have. So if you see anyone like all of us during our, not actually right now in this pandemic situation, but usually we used to go office. So we wake up, we get ready for the office, we drive to office, reach office. These are simple tasks to reach office, right? There may be some nitty gritties, but just to avoid that, and this is a high level task that we have. Now, if you see, this is a sequence of tasks. What the purpose is to reach office. So this sequence of tasks is what we define as a workflow, a sequence of tasks. And now this needs to be orchestrated. So this workflow, when we say it is simply like bundling the tasks and facilitating it for an organized flow to provide seamless service and meeting the service level agreement or the SLAs that we say. So that is what the workflow orchestration is. Then if you see whenever you have, so going to office and all these tasks like wake up, get ready and reach office, this is a static thing. Like the definition is static. When you, so in the morning you wake up, you get ready, you reach office. Now while driving to office, there may be some other mechanism, like someone can drive, someone can simply ride on a cycle, go by bike, or can use his or her car. So the mechanism is different, but actually, if you see, the definition is static. Now, how you drive to office is different. Same way, orchestration engines can be different. So we define some tasks, those are defined. Now, how to orchestrate it, the engine can be non-static. So you can change that. So I can go on car on Mondays, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I can choose Tuesday or Thursday, I can choose my bike. I can ride up on that. So that is how the orchestration engine changes. Now this orchestration engine changes as per the business need. So for example, anyone who might have heard about different workflow engines, orchestration engines, there may be Stackstorm, Argo, or Conductor from Netflix, or anything. So it is as per, or maybe you are working in a cloud where a cloud provider has certain software as a service. They have provided you some orchestration engine. Now you will have to use that. So you have to adhere to that. So that is how the orchestration engine can change as per your business need. There may be some orchestration engine which is very good for the financial purpose, that you think that it will work faster in my case, but for ticketing purpose and all, there may be some other orchestration engine that will be more suitable to you. Okay, so now what is the definition of resilient workflow? So resilient, when we say resilient, is nothing but like something that can be self-constructive or can come up with any of the failures, can come out of any failures, and or is completely transparent of the failures. So what we do is that segregate workflow service with the engine. Now, this is how we try to achieve the resilient workflow. We'll see, like when we go to the next slides, we'll see like how that is segregated. Now, workflow definitions are resilient. I said workflow definitions. Now, these workflow definitions is a single entity that is resilient, as there is no need to change the definitions if your orchestration engine is replaced. So consider it like a multi-service environment, where you have one framework for your workflow definition, and the other one is your orchestration engine. Now, this orchestration engine can be replaced, but the service above that, the layer above that, doesn't change. The layer which defines your workflow, which defines your service catalog that is defined, that doesn't change. That is how the beauty of this resilient workflow definition is. And as we said, it is simply plug and play. Your workflow definitions are same. You can simply pull out your orchestration engine, pull in the new orchestration engine, and that is how it will work. Now, very quickly, I'll go through the introduction to resilient workflow automation. So if you see on like in our data center, or for a server admin or a storage admin, there are different services that needs to be defined. There are different services that needs to be fulfilled. That can be in on-prem, or that can be in your cloud environment. So for example, I just want to spawn a new compute, which will have some boot script that whenever the compute comes up, whenever it boots up, that static scripts will run and set up the say network environment. Now, this is my requirement, and this is my definition of the workflow. So I will want to create a network. I want to create a compute. I want to set up the network, and then the compute will be up and running for the user to use. Now, this can have different, this can be changed in different, like I can run this definition in my AWS environment, or I can run it in my Azure environment, or simply on my on-premise servers. Say in a VMware environment, I can run this definition. So this is how the services are complex, but there needs to be some defined workflows, and there need to be an automation. So the more we define a workflow and automate it, the more resilient the whole flow becomes. So, and the orchestration of these workflows are a necessity. Workflow orchestration engine is necessary, workflow orchestration is necessary. So these are two things, like the necessity is of the workflow orchestration as well as the orchestration engine. There should be some engine. My car cannot run without the engine. Same way, the workflow orchestration cannot be completed without the orchestration engine. So that these both are necessary. Now, we need to segregate the workflow definition and workflow engine. Why we need to segregate it? As we talked earlier, the engine can be changing as per the requirement, but my definition, the end goal, the what we want to achieve, what we want to provide the service, that doesn't change. A service to provide a compute in different cloud or hybrid cloud or on-premise environment, that doesn't change. That remains the same. I can change my underlying, the second layer, which you say is the orchestration engine, that can change. Okay, so this is a quick introduction. With all, I'll just hand over to Joseph, who will walk us through the next slides. Over to you, Joseph.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, Harshit. Now let's see whys and hows of this resilient workflow automation with respect to SODA Foundation projects. So let's see why we need a resilient workflow framework and its use cases. So as you know, SODA Foundation projects manages heterogeneous software backends. So users of SODA projects may be already running some of their automations using their workflow engines. So by providing a resilient workflow automation, users can use their own workflow engine along with SODA projects. And the use case is define a workflow once and use across multiple workflow orchestration engines. Use that across multiple workflow automation engines. So the framework can then provide a plug and play interface for these workflows, making workflow as an adaptive framework. Yeah. Now, how we are achieving this? So framework provides an abstraction layer over the workflow engine, as we discussed. So these workflows will be shown as service catalog items to the users. And each item in the catalog defines specific workflow. The workflow can be used to create or define workflow definitions. Also, a workflow can run or trigger to instantiate these workflows. And workflow can be used to inspect the execution progress or the return status of the run workflows. Workflows may be used with a different underlying engine as we discussed. So user need not be worried about underlying workflow engine.
Joseph, whenever you want, you can tell me, I can switch the...
Yes, and next slide, please. So you can see that this is our SODA Foundation dashboard. We have integrated our SODA project orchestration into this. So here we can see that there are two workflows are listed. One is provisioning, other is migration. Provisioning workflow will provision a volume into a SODA Foundation as project's backends. And the migration will migrate buckets across two multi-cloud backends. This SODA project orchestration also provides two interfaces. One is through dashboard, other is to CLI. Now we'll go through high-level design. In high-level design, we have a catalog manager. Catalog manager will have API interfaces for services, instances, and execution. Service API is used to create workflow items in the service catalog. And these can be triggered to run. Once it is triggered, an instance of this will be created. So API instance is used for triggering this workflow execution. And the triggered workflows can be inspected using execution APIs. So their status will be available through APIs of execution. Next, we can see that API will be connected to workflow manager using a connection manager. Connection manager will have connectors for different workflow managers. So connection manager will select respective connector for the supported workflow manager. And inside the workflow manager, we will have workflows and their sequence of actions to fulfill the workflow. Yeah, this is the high level view of the design. Over to Ashit for the detailed description and demos.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. This is very quick and very nice. Yeah, so as Joseph said, that we have this API layer, then there is a connection manager layer and the workflow manager layer. So this is the block that you see over here, the connection manager. This is where we segregate or segregate the workflow definition and the orchestration engine, and we connect these two dots. So the API, there will be some services defined, there will be some instances of those services, then there will be executed, and those executions or the instances that you have created will be stored in the DB. Now, for example, I am using the workflow manager, something like StackStorm. Then I need to write simply the user need to write a small connector for connecting to this or StackStorm. But above, whatever you have created, the instance or the services, that will remain the same. Now, if suppose I need to pull out the stack storm, I need to put some other workflow engine, say XYZ, then you just need to write the connector. So the framework is such that you just write the connector. Now this connector is also like something like a polymorphic thing. So we have some abstract level classes which you can instantiate into the respective orchestration engines. So that is where this connector works and connector helps. I hope this high level design is clear. Like there are 3 layers. If you see, first is the layer where we have the API layer, where we create the services, instances, and execute those instances. When we are talking about the execution, we'll talk about this, how it works in the actual orchestration engine. During the demo, we'll walk through that. Now, this connection manager is the second layer, which is just an adapter to the respective orchestration engine and which will connect to the API layer. So for example, just to give an example, like if I say my API is something like x.1.2.3.4.y / orchestration / services. Now this services API remains the same, but this services execution or the services / execute will be same, but the orchestration engine you can change and you can customize as per your needs. Yeah, so very quickly we'll go through the demo. So we have created some framework, we have created we have defined some definitions. We'll try to execute it. So I'll just give you what exactly the setup for this demo is. The setup and what we are going to show you, the task is to simply provision a volume or create a volume and attach it to the compute or the instance. Now this instance can be a cloud instance, this can be a on-premise instance or anything. So I can have a definition to create the EBS volume and attach it to the AWS instance, or on-premise, I can have a logical volume. So I can create a volume using LVM and I can attach it to the host. So that host can use it as another volume mounted on it. So over here, we'll show you how it works. This is just a prototype demo. We have the framework we have created. I'll just, yeah. Okay. So I'll pause wherever it is required. I'll just a minute. Yeah. As we saw in the earlier slide, this is what there are 2 kinds of catalog that we have defined. The first is for the provisioning, another is for the migration. Now this provisioning, as we were talking, this is the provisioning from one provisioning a volume to a compute. The migration, as Joseph said, that migration, you can consider it something like I have created a bucket in AWS and another bucket in Azure. Now, what I want to do is that this object that I have uploaded in the AWS bucket, based upon my lifecycle migration or something rules or the policies, I can migrate that object into another cloud bucket, Azure cloud bucket, or what we say in the very Azure specific term, Azure container, we can move it to there. So this is how my workflow can be defined. So I'll show you about the provisioning, the volume provisioning demo. Yeah. So user just needs to create an instance of the volume provisioning. You can give it a name, you can define it, and you can provide, because when we say provision, it is actually you are going to mount it to that host or attach it to that host for the data storage. So I have some host defined locally. Now I name this volume. So this is a volume. This is a name with which the volume will be created. The size is 2 GB, and Soda profile is there. That is very specific to Soda, how it works. Now, if you see the instance is created, it is success. Now we can see that what all resource it has created. If you see, I'll just like talk over it. So if you see over here, there is a demo vol1 that we created that is in use. It shows as in use. Now the capacity is 2 GB, and in use, when we say, that means that it has been attached or mounted to that host. So that is how it will appear. So this is the volume that we have created, and this has been mounted. Yeah. Okay. So now this is so the previous part we talked about was about the workflow definition we created, the instance we created and executed it. But for that execution, we wanted some engine to work in the background. Now, as we have been discussing about all this resilient workflow definition, the orchestration engine is completely separated out. So when we say segregated and separated out, means this is a completely new, different component over here. So this is how the resilient workflow, when we say resilient workflow definition, that is how it works. So this is a StackStorm UI. You can see that there are actions defined. This is the history of the execution. On the right-hand panel, you can see that we have created what was the input that was given to this orchestration engine. If you see over here, you can see the demo wall 1 was created, then the name of that wall. Yeah. Yes. So this is a volume that has been created. You can see the IP address of the host to which it has been provisioned or mounted. So that is how the orchestration engine has worked. So everything, whatever was provided by the workflow definition has come as an action for this StackStorm. Sorry. Just move it. Yeah, you can see that in StackStorm, there are few actions that has been defined. So this is different actions that has been defined. So that's from the demo perspective. So the purpose of this demo was to showcase that how the framework has been defined. And there are some connectors written for StackStorm as of now. There are predefined workflow definitions that has been written. Now, the purpose was that when we change the StackStorm to Argo, the workflow definition for the volume provisioning that we had defined, or the instance that we had defined, that instance can be re-executed with the same parameters. The definition or the parameter to that definition has not changed. What had changed is the underlying orchestration engine. That is how the resilient, when we say resilient workflow automation, that is what the resiliency means. Resiliency is that your StackStorm or Argo or the orchestration engine has changed, but not the definitions or not the instance that you have created. The execution of those instances, you can rerun those instances, you can re-instantiate it. Everything works fine, irrespective of the engine. Yeah, so Joseph, anything you want to add over here?
No, that's enough.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. Okay, so now when we talk about this resilient workflow definition and automation, so everything is fine. Like it might be there can be some proprietary solution. It may be possible, but what is the advantage that SODA is providing, or what we are proposing to provide an advantage, that we have created an open source orchestration framework. What does that mean is that this framework is open. If you are taking it, you can simply, we have got this, all this orchestration code has got Apache 2 license. Now this is like, you can simply lift, use it in your environment, you have the framework. Now you just need to write the connector or adapter that we talked, the connection manager in the high level design we talked about, that you need to write, and you can use it with your orchestration engine. And orchestration engine you might have been, so for example, you give it to your say finance department, and they have already some orchestration engine, they have written some actions based upon that. Those actions remain same, the definitions are same, that sort of framework provide. So that is what the advantage of open source. Even if you want to customize the framework, the source is open. So anything can be customized as per the requirement. But actually, the thing is that we want to create a framework. Now, this framework, one of the best advantages of any open source project, and for the sake, the same with SODA Foundation, is that all these projects are maintained, developed, and tightly or very closely monitored by the community. The community is not one people, one company, or what. It is a group of people coming together for a common cause. So different companies, different people with their different experience, with their own perspective come and suggest, and they have written this orchestration framework. So what user just need to do is that just define the actions for orchestration engine. So that is what. So we have seen some of the use case of the end users. Those end users are using this, trying this orchestration framework. They have their own actions written as per their orchestration engine. They say that, okay, I want a framework which will be define just a workflow definition. That doesn't change. For them, that doesn't change. They will use it in their own environment. As I said, it is developed and maintained by community. Now, whenever we are talking about this plug and play, the source code and all, even for the plug and play, there is no vendor lock-in. This whole framework is not locked in with just one Stackstorm or say JBPMN or whatever. That is not locked in with that. It can be, it is a, like we do, this orchestration framework can work in an open environment. That is the advantage of this open sources. Now, as we say, rather than talking, seeing something will always help. So you can simply go to the, so this is a GitHub project we have hosted our orchestration framework. You can simply on the Soda Foundation, github.com/Soda Foundation orchestration, you can go and check this. There is also some design document that has been created. So if you see the design spec link is over there, you can check that. And overall, there are many different projects for Soda Foundation that is hosted there on the github.com/Soda Foundation. You can check that, you can explore it, you can suggest, you can give your opinion, like how we can improve, or you can come forward and help us in proposing the solution, giving your inputs, giving the use case requirement. So we are open for that. So that is where you can find everything. Please visit there, see what you can help over there. And trust me, this orchestration framework that we are talking is definitely like, it's not about we have worked this in silos. It has come from the end users and we are open. So this is definitely going to be a very helpful utility, this framework. So just try it out, give your suggestions and give feedback. Yeah, so that's all from our side. So I hope the purpose of what we are talking about over here, the resilient workflow automation, the RWA that we have been talking, the resiliency. So the flagship thing or flagship or the very highlighted point is the resilient. So resilient, you understand why we call it resilient. The resilient because in a very summary, short summary, if I tell you, it is resilient or making the workflow definition resilient. It won't fail if your orchestration engine changes. So in a single line, resilient workflow automation, which is agnostic of any underlying orchestration engine. And it is completely like driver based, adapter based. It is adaptive, as Joseph said, it is adaptive to any workflow orchestration engine. Yeah, so that's all from my side. Joseph, anything you want to add?
No, thanks, Ashit.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good. Yeah, thanks, Joseph. So please take a moment to rate this session. Your feedback is really important to us. So please send your feedback. You can email to any one of us for any of your queries. The email is provided over here. And definitely we have the Slack channel. Go to sodafoundation.io. You will find the Slack channel. Join that Slack channel. And we are always there. The whole Soda Foundation community is always there to help for any queries or any questions. Yeah. So that's all from our side. Thank you for attending this. If you have any questions, please post. Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.